You might have noticed that in my videos, I don't talk much about scales. It's not because scales don't matter. They do, and like any musician, I practice my scales all the time. Scales are like the alphabet. You need to know the alphabet, but you can't just pull letters out at random and expect to form meaningful sentences. In the same way, you can't just pick notes from a scale and expect your lines to make sense. You need to know which notes actually matter in any given moment and build your lines around those. In a 2-5-1, if you hit one note in particular in just the right place, you can give any line power, direction, and clarity. It's the foundation of the entire melody tune up. That note is the third of chord 1. In this video, using tune up, I'm going to show you what I mean, and I'm going to show you how you can practice this so that every 2-5-1 you play starts to sound intentional, clear, and controlled. So here's the head of tune up. It's quite a short tune, but it's absolutely packed with 2-5-1s, and it moves through several keys in quick succession. So let's zoom in and look at it a little bit more closely. Here's the first phrase. It's a 2-5-1 in D major. We've got E minor 7, A7, and D major 7. Now the melody starts all the way up here. It moves down, jumps, rises, and then right as we hit chord 1, it lands on an F sharp. That F sharp is the third of the key, it's the third of D. Everything before that moment is pointing towards that note. We start above it, we move below it, and finally we land. It's like circling a target and then locking in. Now I've laid all of this out in a free PDF with practice steps and notation for all instruments, including transpositions. There's a link to that below in the description. So here's the next phrase. It's exactly the same idea. We're in C major now, and it's another 2-5-1. We've got D minor 7, G7, and C major 7. And again, the line circles the target and eventually lands on E, the third of C, right as we hit chord 1. Here's the first two phrases back to back. Listen for the resolution and listen for that same shape. Then next we move down another step. This time it's going to be a 2-5-1 in B flat major. So that's C minor 7, F7, and B flat major 7. And the melody does this time. It's a different shape, but the same result. We're going to land on D, which is the third of B flat. And we're going to hit it just as we hit chord 1. Then we get a slightly different progression for the final phrase. We've got E minor 7, F7, and B flat major 7. Those last two chords, F7 and B flat major 7, are still a 5-1 in B flat. The E minor briefly hints at D major, but we pivot back towards B flat. It's basically another 2-5-1 in B flat major, but we've just got this kind of imposter chord in place of chord 2. Now here's what the melody does here. This time it lands on an A on chord 1. We've got B flat major 7, and we're landing on an A. It's the 7th of that chord, so it's still another chord tone, and it's still a really interesting and really strong, deliberate, intentional sound. Keep that in your back pocket for once you've kind of worked your way through this exercise and you're feeling comfortable, you could come back and aim for 7ths. So here's the whole melody so far. We've got our 2-5-1 in D major, and it lands on an F sharp. then 2-5-1 in C, and we land on E. Then 2-5-1 in B flat, landing on a D. And finally, the last one, it's essentially that 2-5-1 in B flat again, but this time we're going to land on an A. So after that, we repeat the form again, and it's exactly the same as the first time around, apart from the last phrase. So we get all of this again. And now we land on an E minor 7 again, just like before. But this time, we're going to have a 2-5-1 in D major, the original key that we started in. And our E minor 7 is actually just the chord 2 of that 2-5-1. So we've got E minor 7, A7, and D major 7. And this time the melody does this. It just sits on the 5th of D. Landing on the 5 is another really strong choice. It's nice and stable, it reinforces the return to the home key. But for today, for our exercise, we're going to focus on aiming for thirds. So here's the whole head all the way through. Listen for those resolution points, and after this, I'm going to show you how you can start practicing this idea and how you can use it to build your own lines. Now let's start using this ourselves. Before we take it through the whole of Tune Up, let's start with each of the 2-5-1s on its own. There are 3 keys here, D, C and B flat. In the tune they come quickly, so we need them to feel easy before we join them together. Everything I'm about to show you is laid out in the PDF, so you can take your time with it later. We're going to start on the D major. Our target note on the D major 2-5-1 is F sharp, the 3rd of D. So our 2-5-1 is E minor 7, A7 and D major 7. And we want to hit that F sharp right as we hit chord 1. So the first thing to practice is just doing that. We're going to loop the progression and we're going to hit the F sharp right on that resolution point, right on chord 1. I'm not going to play anything else at all. That might sound really simple, but this isn't a technical exercise. It's about training your ear to expect that sound in the exact right place, so that later you can hit it instinctively. So once we've done that, and once that feels really instinctive, we can add some more notes. Since we're playing tune up, let's borrow other notes from the first phrase of the tune. We've got A, G, we've got D sharp, and it's a bit of a spicy one in the key, and finally we've got an E. If we add the F sharp that we already played, then we can create this little mini scale. So over the first half of the 2-5-1, what I'm going to do is improvise with just those notes, with just the mini scale. And then as soon as it hits chord 1, I'm going to aim to land really clearly and really cleanly on F sharp, just like the melody does. And this is what that could sound like. Sharp really makes things interesting, and it gives us some dissonance to play with. You could think about that note a few different ways. You could think of it as the sharp 11 of A7, which is our chord 5, or you could just think of it as a chromatic approach note to D within the scale. But I think the best thing to do is to just play with it. Let your ears guide you. The key thing is to resolve cleanly to that F sharp on chord 1. As long as that happens, everything before it makes sense. Now let's do exactly the same thing in C major. Our target note now is E, the third of C. And when you practice this later, start exactly the same way. Aim to just hit E's on that resolution, to tune your ears into the sound and get your fingers ready to find that note. When you're hearing that clearly, we can make the same mini scale as before. So we take the notes of the melody. This time it's G, F, C sharp, and D. And we can add E to it as well, like before. And we're aiming for our concert E. And we can do exactly the same thing again on our B flat major 251. The melody itself does change and tune up on this 251, but for our exercise, let's stick to the same shape that we were using before. So our target note now is going to be D, and this is our mini scale this time. And then in the form, we'll treat the next phrase as just another 251 in B flat, and we'll use the same idea. So the whole form of tune up will go like this: D, C, B flat, D, C, B flat, D. And that means that our target notes will be F sharp, E, D, D, F sharp, E, D, F sharp. Now, I know that's a lot to remember, but it's all in the PDF. So when you practice this later, you can use that. It's set out clearly to take your time to digest all of that information. Now, once you've spent time getting comfortable in each key and with each mini scale, this is what it might sound like to improvise across the whole tune with that approach. There's another phrase in Tune Up that uses a slightly different set of notes, but it still resolves to the same target. It's that third phrase. It happens in B flat, and the first part uses these notes. So we get E flat, F, G, and A going up in steps. Finally resolving to D on chord 1. This is how it sounds over the changes. Now we could practice the same idea again, but use the notes from that phrase. So our mini scale this time would be E flat, F, G, A, and then aiming for D on chord 1. So the mini scale in entirety would be this. And we can put the D above where it is in the melody, or we could play it an octave lower, which would actually make it connect a bit more neatly with the other notes. It works in any octave, so try it both ways and see how it feels. We could then do the same thing again with the other 2-5-1s. So in the original key D, it would be these notes: G, A, B, and C sharp, resolving again to F sharp. In C, it would be F, G, A, B, resolving to E. And we already know it in B flat. So take your time with each key, just like before, and once you've done that with the new mini scale, this is what that might sound like across the whole form. Once that feels comfortable, we could add the whole scale of each key that we're playing in. So over the 2-5-1s in D major, we could use the whole D major scale. In C major, use the whole C major scale, and in B flat major, use the whole B flat major scale. But nothing changes about the goal. We're still aiming for those target notes to hit the third of chord 1 every time the harmony lands on that chord. This is the point at which scales become useful, because now they're supporting something. Once you've trained your ears and your fingers to find those important notes, you're not just running a scale, you're building phrases that mean something. You're speaking in sentences using the alphabet, rather than just picking letters out at random and hoping that they spell words. Now you can also start playing after the resolution point and extending your lines over the one chord. And you might also like to try adding a little chromaticism in as well, like we did when we were playing with that D sharp from earlier. That's another topic for another video, but feel free to experiment, take risks, let your ears guide you. As long as you land clearly on that third, in the right place, everything else will make sense. This is what it could sound like to improvise over the whole sequence. I won't restrict my note choices or my ideas, except that I will always aim to hit the third of chord 1 every time it resolves. Take your time playing with this. The core of the idea is hitting those notes clearly. When you can do that cleanly and without thinking, you can start varying everything around them. That's where the freedom comes in. The resolution gives your lines structure and meaning, leaving everything else wide open to experiment with. Download the PDF, try it yourself, and let me know how you get on in the comments. I release weekly videos with practical ideas like this one, designed to turn musical concepts into instincts that you can rely on when you're actually playing. If you found this helpful, like the video and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.